A pleasant day, ma'am. So for today, we will start our experiment, which is sugars within starches. The materials na ginamit namin ay skyflakes as a soda cracker, rice cake,
at ribisco as rye crystal.
While chewing the soda cracker, we noticed that it tastes less good and delicious. And while the rice cake, it's also fluffy and delicious. And the ribisco, anong lasa ng ribisco?
Okay.
How about you, partner?
The taste is good.
The materials needed for the experiment are plate, measuring cup, substitute for scooper, plastic gloves, white bread, the whole wheat bread. The objective of this experiment is to compare and contrast the insoluble fibers in breads. For the procedure, take a scoop out of the inside of one slice of bread. Try to form a ball shape using the palms of your hands. Then repeat this exercise with the other slice of bread. For the evaluation, the experiment proved that when I rub the whole wheat bread into a ball, it easily crumbles because it contains a short fibers. While when I did it to white bread, it formed a semi-solid ball when compacted. Culinary application. This experiment will be extremely useful in developing a new form of bread that combines the best qualities of wet and white bread to create a balanced product.
So, good morning, Ma'am Leslie, and today we will be having experiment. So, what are the materials that we need for this experiment? So, we will be having cornstarch, flour, arrowroot. It's so hard to find. What do you call this? Tapioca. A tablespoon and a cup, 5 bowls, pot, and a cold water. So, let's start for this procedure. Starches are amazing, and you can also use this for some recipe like gravies and some starchy roots and tubers are plants which store edible starch materials and subterranean and stem, roots, rhizomes, corns, and tubers, and are originated from diversified botanical sources. Potatoes and yarns are tubers, whereas taro cocoyams are derived from the corns, undergone stems, and swallowed hypophocalis. And starchy roots consumed in large quantities include potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, taro, and cassava. You may use also this for like cereals or like thickening the gravy. Their nutritive value in a general resembles that of cereals. The potato, however, provides some protein, like about 2%, and also contains vitamin C. Aside from their basic nutritional uses, starches are used in brewing and as also thickening agents in baked goods and confections. You can also use starches in some paper manufacturing to increase the strength of the paper, and also used in the surface of sizing of paper. In terms of how they thicken, the quality of thickening and their flavor after thickening. Starches can differ greatly, and also understanding the qualities of each starch and how it will react in your cuisine is necessary before choosing one over the other. True, they had the same solution when heated. The experiment I conducted was simply great and absolutely amazing, and I was blessed with the results. That's all.
Good day, I'm Lauren Taglino from BSHM 2, and I'll be performing this experiment called gluten floor.
Simply substituting gluten-free flour for all-purpose flour in baked goods doesn't always work because gluten is a structural protein. The products are often very tender and even crumbly if we just replace that's called for in the recipe, which is gluten-free flour. On the other hand, cakes like spiced carrot cake with cream cheese frosting, breads, scones, and other baked goods with gluten flour requires some structural assistance from a binder.
Good day, my name is Jezebel M. Ocampo, and I am now going to discuss the fifth experiment, which about the carbohydrates on the food label. So the objectives of this experiment is to identify the sugars, starches, and fibers on the food label, and to determine if food are an excellent, an average, or a poor source of fiber. The materials that I am going to use are the two food labels from breakfast cereal, which is the Cocoa Crunch and the Corn Flakes, including the nutrition facts panel and the list of ingredients.
For the evaluation of the experiment, both of the cereal have the same serving sizes. First, the Kellogg's Corn Flakes breakfast cereals has 30 grams and also the Cocoa Crunch breakfast cereals has 30 grams serving sizes. Letter B, on the first breakfast cereals, which is the Cocoa Crunch, the ingredients which contains carbohydrates are cereal grains, white flour, sugar, cocoa powder, barley malt extract, emulsifier, and vitamins. And the ingredients of Cocoa Crunch that contains sugar are barley malt extract, sugar, emulsifier, cocoa powder, and the vitamin B6. Next, on the other breakfast cereals, which is the Kellogg's Corn Flakes, the ingredients which contains carbohydrates are corn, sugar, and vitamins. And the ingredients that contain sugar are malt extract, sugar, and vitamin B6. For the letter C, Cocoa Crunch contains more sugar than Kellogg's Corn Flakes because Cocoa Crunch contains 8.1 grams of sugar while Kellogg's Corn Flakes contains 2.4 grams of sugar. Letter D, Kellogg's Corn Flakes contains more carbohydrates than Cocoa Crunch because Kellogg's Corn Flakes has 26.1 grams of carbohydrates while Cocoa Crunch has 23 grams of carbohydrates. And when it comes to fiber, Cocoa Crunch contains more fiber than the Kellogg's Corn Flakes because Cocoa Crunch has 2.3 grams compared to the Kellogg's Corn Flakes that only has 0.8 grams. Letter E, the Cocoa Crunch has 7.67% of carbohydrates and 9.2% of fiber, while the Kellogg's Corn Flakes has 8.17% of carbohydrates and 4% of fiber based on their daily values. So, these are the comparison of the remaining daily values of both cereals. And which of their daily values are the following?
Hi,
Hi, I am Angel Rosin Diables, and now let's talk about the sixth experiment, which is the carbohydrate substitute. The objective of this experiment is to determine the sugar substitute in beverage and to compare the taste and solubility of sugar substitute in beverage. The materials that we are using are the table sugar, the organic cocoa sugar, and the stevia sugar, and the 3 ounce unsweetened iced tea.
So now let's proceed to the procedure. First, I will add the stevia sugar on the first glass of unsweetened iced tea and stir it. Then, I will add the organic cocoa sugar on the second glass of unsweetened iced tea and also stir it. Then, I will put the table sugar on the unsweetened iced tea and stir it well. For the evaluation, since the unsweetened iced tea is quite cold, we notice that it takes time for the sugar to dissolve. As we put sugar on each of the glass, the table sugar dissolved first, then followed by the organic cocoa sugar, and lastly the stevia sugar. After I taste all the unsweetened tea that mixed with the sugar substitute, the stevia on the unsweetened tea tasted like a normal tea with a little sweetness and a menthol flavor, while the other tea with the white sugar tasted much sweeter than the first one. And lastly, the unsweetened tea with the cocoa sugar has a different taste compared to the two. Comparing the taste of the unsweetened tea with the cocoa and stevia sugar to the white sugar, since the substitute stevia sugar is healthy and made the leaves of the stevia plant, it tasted like unsweetened tea added with the white sugar but with a menthol taste, while the cocoa sugar has a bitter taste compared to the table sugar, since cocoa sugar is a palm sugar produced from a flower bud stem of the coconut palm that naturally has a highly toasted and smoky taste.